I'm sorry about everything. Wish I could just talk to someone. It's all falling apart here. I can't believe what's happening. It's strange. Such a little thing.
One could argue that there are few characters in Dead Space that are more important to the story than Nicole Brennan. She is, after all, instrumental to the game's biggest twist, one that people rave about to this day. While her role in the game's backstory proves to be crucial by the time you're done with it as well, the Dead Space remake will be coming out soon, and while many will be enjoying that story and its revelations for the first time, there will obviously also be quite a few players who will be examining all of its tweaks and changes and judging it against the quality of the original. How well the remake will fare in comparison remains to be seen, but before these discussions flare up following the game's launch, here we're going to take a look at Nicole's character, her story, and everything that we know about her in preparation of the remake. Right from the get-go, Dead Space establishes Nicole as a crucial character. Isaac Clarke is heading to Aegis 7 along with the rest of the Kellyan's crew to investigate the distress call sent out by the USG Ishimura. But he has personal stakes in this mission as well. Nicole, his girlfriend, was on that ship, and it's been a while since he's heard from her. Clearly, something's gone wrong about the Ishimura, and above all else, Isaac is desperate to find her and make sure she's safe. Of course, by the time the game has come to an end, we learn that Nicole is dead, and has been for a while, since before Isaac even got to the Ishimura.
What, you don't believe me? Take a look at yourself. Better yet, take a look at the video from Nicole. And this time, watch it right to the end.
Isaac, it's me. I wish I could talk to you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about everything. I wish I could just talk to someone. It's all falling apart here. I can't believe what's happening. It's strange. Such a little thing. In the end, it all comes down to one little thing.
Even so, throughout the game, as well as throughout the stories told in the Dead Space comics, we get bits and bits of information that paint a clearer picture of what Nicole went through before that happened, which in turn reveals plenty about the necromorph outbreaks as well. In a cruel twist of fate, if not for Isaac, Nicole may not even have been aboard the Ishimura when it was ravaged by the necromorphs. She hadn't been entirely convinced about her position as the Ishimura's senior medical officer, and only took the job that would take her to Aegis 7 after Isaac convinced her to take the opportunity and jump in with both feet. Sadly, we all know how that ended. In fact, it didn't take long after getting to Aegis 7 that the Red Marker started exerting its influence on the civilians on the planet as well as the crew of the Ishimura. As a senior member of the ship's medical team, Nicole was well placed to get an idea of the mental toll the mission was taking on everyone, and saw firsthand with more than a few cases just how drastically and quickly the Red Marker could bring about cases of extreme paranoia, hysteria, and dementia in people. Of course, things would only go from bad to worse from there. As soon as the Ishimura began its planet-cracking operations on Aegis 7, the planet and the ship were overtaken and consumed by a sudden and violent outbreak of the necromorph infection. Nicole and the rest of the medical team had already had several hectic and extremely busy days as they dealt with the mental effects being brought on by the Red Marker, but things took an even more visceral turn when the necromorphs entered the picture. With surviving members of the Ishimura's crew, which dwindled in number with startling speed as soon as the infection began, Nicole tried to hold off for as long as she could. But in the end, neither was she able to make it through the harrowing ordeal, nor was she able to figure out a way to stop the infection, though that was not for a lack of trying. Ultimately, at the end, when she knew that there was no way she was going to make it out alive, she sent a final video message to Isaac. She does, of course, make several appearances in Dead Space itself.
You're doing the right thing, Isaac. We're together now. The way it always should have been. I knew you'd come back for me. Nothing can stop us now.
Appearing to Isaac as if she were alive and well, and even seeming to aid him on numerous occasions. That is ultimately revealed to be the red marker exerting its influence, causing Isaac to hallucinate and using those hallucinations of Nicole to manipulate him into taking the marker back to the planet where it can reunite with the hive mind. Thanks to Kendra Daniels, Isaac does ultimately learn the full truth of the matter and is able to destroy both the marker and the hive mind. Interestingly, Dead Space's final scene shows Isaac flying away, leaving a crumbling Aegis 7 in his wake, only for another angry hallucination of Nicole to appear and attack him. The suggestion, of course, is that he hasn't escaped his encounter with the marker with his mind fully intact, and is still very much feeling the effect in spite of its destruction, which continues to be the case in Dead Space 2 as well. Nicole appears to Isaac as a hallucination several times in the sequel as well. The obvious difference is that this time, he knows she isn't real, and that she's been dead for a very long time. By the time Dead Space 2 comes to an end, Isaac has managed to finally free himself of the influence of the marker, and by extension, the hallucinations of Nicole inside his head. With Dead Space's remake launching in just a few days' time, we're quite curious to see how it handles Nicole and her story. Developer Motive Studio has said that it plans on bringing in narrative and lore elements from the sequels and the comics and integrate them into the first game's story. A lot of these are obviously directly tied to Nicole, some of which we've spoken of here, which means it's more than a little likely that she'll play a much more prominent role in the remake story. What form will that take, though? Will we get to learn more about the early days of the Necromorph outbreak aboard the USG Ishimura? Will we find out more about all of the hurdles the ship had already run into before the outbreak had even started? Will we be getting deeper insight into Isaac and Nicole's relationship? Especially with Isaac now being a fully voiced actor, unlike the original game. Motive Studio has said that the remake has a new line of side quests that will focus on secondary characters and flesh out their stories a little bit more, and that one of the characters that will get the extra screen time will be Nicole. How expansive that side content is and how significantly it fleshes out her character and her story remains to be seen. But we're surely curious to find out. If the Dead Space remake can find a way to get players even more invested in Nicole and her story, then the ending is only going to hit that much harder. Thankfully, we don't have to wait too long to get the answers to our questions. The Dead Space remake is launching for PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC on January 27th. Hey, did you know that we at Gaming Vault upload new videos every day? Stick around, drop a like, subscribe, and hit that bell, and let us know what kind of content you'd like to see in the future with a comment below.